Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here today. What I want to do before I get started in this broadcast is make sure that I apologize to everybody. Last night when I attempted to go live, had some technical difficulties. The goal of mine was to use, I connected to what they call StreamYard because I wanted to have people come up and speak on a panel or speak to me one at a time and give your views about the future of this program, Coach Prime, everything that has transpired. And I had a lot of technical problems with the StreamYard last night, and I had to end the stream because people either couldn't hear me or I was freezing and all sort of things were happening. So I'm broadcasting through my regular broadcasting platform, and hopefully we won't have those types of technical issues going on. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to primarily listen to what you have to say in the chat room. I'm going to pull your thoughts up on the screen. I'm going to read them. We're going to dialogue. I want you to give your honest assessment of the season, how it went. I got to be honest. I tried to say this last night. I felt that the game against Utah was actually their better game for the end of the season. They played their best game at the beginning of the season against TCU, but I thought you have to give them, you got to take your hats off. Although they lost 17-23 to Utah, they actually played better football yesterday than we've seen in the last few games prior to that game yesterday. So give them a clap there. Oh, yeah. Let's be honest about it. So they played a lot better in that game. Although they lost, there still were some glaring issues. They could not stop the run yesterday. It seemed that Utah could pretty much do everything that they wanted to do. I'm going to get, I should have my notes here. I want to repeat what I had said last night about what was happening in the game and what have you. Let me grab real quick the notes that should be right here, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on. All right. So yesterday, let me just run down these stats real quick. This is what I attempted to do last night. A lot of problems with the stream, but here we go. Ryan, who stood in for Shador. We all knew that Shador, it was announced by Coach Prime that Shador Sanders was not going to play yesterday. He was resting. Even Coach Prime admitted in the press conference yesterday, and I'm going to play some audio of that Shador is struggling to get out of the bed or just trying to get out of the bed from resting. He's sore. Coach Prime is very concerned about the physical shape of both his sons, Shallow, Shador, and many of the other players on this team. But Ryan stepped in. He played a lot better than he played last week. He played a lot better than he played last week. When he went in the game and did not look good. But this week he threw for 17 for 24, 195 yards, 1 TD. That was the quarterback that was setting in for Ryan. Coach Prime also admitted in a press conference yesterday that that young man might be looking to leave CU because he wants to start. He wants to play. He's a freshman. Maybe he's going to stay there with the team. I thought that he did a good job, better than he did a week ago, considering the circumstances of the football team, what they've been through this year. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm going to play the audio of Coach Prime today at the press conference, okay? Let's also look at these numbers right here. Savion Wilkinson, I tried to talk about this yesterday. Again, they're going to have to get more carries than just 7 carries. Savion had 7 carries for 32 yards, longest run being 11 yards. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat room. I'm glad I'm back. I'm apologizing for the way things went yesterday with the broadcast and some of the jankiness that was happening when I was broadcasting through Yard Streams. Thank you for being here. I see we got consistently me in the house saying, and the one that decommitted let them go. Let them go. Coach Prime will get what he needs. Yeah, I agree with that. If people leave, they're going to leave. We're going to talk about that today, folks. I want you to continue making great comments. So Savion had 7 carries for 32 yards. 7 carries is just not going to do it, especially when Utah ran the ball 53 times yesterday. CU only ran the ball 17 times in terms of rush attempts. That's not good, ladies and gentlemen. Dylan Edwards. Let's talk about Dylan Edwards, which is why I put him on the thumbnail with Coach Prime, because he still is one of the young pieces of this team that is going to be bright for the future. Because yesterday they finally utilized him the way he should have been utilized this whole year. They finally were able to get the ball in his hand out in the open. To me, he still did not get enough carries as a running back. They only gave him 1 carry. That's not going to get it, folks, and you know that. But what Dylan Edwards did do that I was impressed with yesterday is that he did show that he still has that ability to burst and beat people, okay? Dylan Edwards had 4 receptions for 39 yards, 1 TD, which was great. We got to be honest about that. That was, in my estimate, that was fantastic. His longest run yesterday, should we say, or longest reception, because he didn't run the ball much, was for 30 yards. Longest reception on the day. Remember, Jimmy Horn threw him a touchdown, and I think they took it back. Remember, there was a play when Jimmy Horn threw the ball, and I think they called it back, the referees, and I got to say the referees have not been good to this football team. I mean, I'm not trying to blame it on the referees, but they have made some very, I would have to say, questionable calls in this game as well. But you can't always blame it on the referees, because you have to look at what are the players doing, what are the coaches doing in making the right calls, the right plays. But the referees, in my dismay, took back, I thought, what was going to be a really nice play when they took the throw by Jimmy Horn Jr. to Dylan Edwards, which I just thought it was a great play, and they took it back from him. That could have made the difference in them winning this game. It's not like they got blown out, ladies and gentlemen, by this football team. It wasn't like they got stumped on the way they did by Washington State. They were competitive. They made plays in this game when they needed. They made certain plays that they didn't make in the game against Washington State. They didn't get just blown out. They lost the game 17-23. So this makes, on the year, only 2 teams that really blew them out. Oregon, which was a ranked team, and Washington State was a ranked team at one point in time as well, okay? So they got beat by 2 teams that blew them out. The rest of the games were games that they could have won, that they were in. There was some poor time management, poor clock management, right, where they were driving down the field and running out of time, where there could have been a possibility that they could have won the game. I'm going to say this, and I tried to say this yesterday. I think Deion Sanders, if he had been well, healthy, physically, mentally, spiritually, I think Deion Sanders could have been out there and could have won this game for them. I think Ryan did the best he could, but imagine if Shedeur was out there throwing that ball around. Of course, the offensive line has not given him the best protection that money can buy, but we can say that they would be a hell of a lot in better shape with Shedeur, and I think that they could have won that game with him in there, because he gives you something extra, meaning his ability to scramble, his ability to make something out of nothing. let's talk about this man right here, Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter had a great game yesterday. They took away a catch late in the game that I thought that the referees, when you talk about, oh, don't blame the referees, man. No, right here, I think the referees made a boo-boo, because how many of you believe by watching that Travis Hunter caught that ball, right? Because Travis Hunter he got 8 receptions for 107 yards, 1 TD. Longest catch yesterday was for 33 yards long, okay? But remember, he got a great catch taken away from him that I thought was a catch that could have changed the game, and we could have looked at possibly a Utah team that would have had to go into either overtime with CU, or they either would have been beaten by CU. Something would have happened if it hadn't been for the referees who interfered in that situation, folks. I just got to be honest. This is not blaming it just on referees, but you got to admit that he caught that football. He caught that football, and they took that opportunity away from Travis Hunter, and I didn't like that. Let me also say this to you all. Let me also say this to you all as well. Let's keep this in mind. Michael Harrison, who they call Mikey, he got 2 receptions for 38 yards, longest reception for 25 yards. After that, he really was a non-factor in the game. There was even a moment when the ball was thrown to him and he dropped a key pass, but then he wasn't going to get the first down. I think Caleb Matthews, which is a son of one of the coaches, he got 2 receptions for 23 yards, 14 yards being his longest receptions. And taking it back to Jimmy Horn right now, everybody, Jimmy Horn, they've got to figure out a way to get him more involved in the game, especially in games like this that they could have possibly won. I think they were more competitive in this game than they were, obviously, against Washington State in the last few games. What do you think about that? Let me know in the chat room if you believe that they were more competitive, even though they did lose in this game against Utah, which actually Utah was ranked as one of the better teams in the Pac-12 with a better defense. Yet this team showed a lot of guts that they were able to play with this team for some time, and then things got out of hand down the line. If you think that this was a more competitive game for CU than it was the last few games, put 7s in the chat room. Let me know by voting and putting 7s in the chat room if you think it was more competitive. I thought they were more competitive. I thought that it showed you that this is a team that, like Coach Prime says, if he gets 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 12 more dogs on this team, they could do a lot of serious damage. They could do some things. What do you think? We got a couple of 7 by Big Dog G in the house. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Big Dog. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. You know, I think, let me give you the better clap. Yeah. Empress Goddess put 7 7s in there. What's going on? One of my mods. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. We'll be going live on the Information Man show after this. My sister, that's my political, social, and cultural channel. If you're interested in that type of commentary, subscribe to the Information Man show. It won't hurt you. But over here, we do sports. We stick to sports over here. We stick to what's happening at CU. Let me also say this. How many of you think that Jimmy Horn going into next year is going to have to get him more involved? He's got skills. There are times when he drops the ball, and sometimes it seems like he fades out of games sometime, but he's very talented. Now, yesterday, he only got 2 receptions for 18 yards, his longest reception for 10 yards. Now, that could be because he had a quarterback that was not on the same level. I'm going to be honest, not on the same level as a Deion Sanders. right? Because we know if you give Shedeur time, he's going to make a lot of great things happen, and you can't count him out. Let me also go over to his brother real quick, who I think has been fantastic. What he's been doing, he's been quietly leading the Pac-12 as a safety and tackles and what have you. Shallow Sanders, excuse me. Shallow Sanders. Shedeur's brother Shallow had 9 tackles and 7 solo tackles. So he played really good yesterday. Coach Prime is saying that he's concerned about his health because both Shedeur and Shallow are both banged up right now. So they're going to enjoy this time off to re-heal themselves mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, most definitely. Let me also talk about this linebacker right here, Levante Bentley. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. He had a great game yesterday with 9 tackles. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, ladies and gentlemen. He had 9 tackles, and he had 5 solo tackles. Shirley, Kimbo, thank you for coming in. P-Lit, play action. Yeah, I think play action screens, brothers. You're right. I'm gonna be pulling up your thoughts in just a moment. You're right about that. But he had 9 tackles, 5 solo. That's great. Shane Cooks. I think Cooks, number 99, defensive tackle, I believe. That brother had, let me just let you know what his numbers were. I'm just going to go over the numbers before I get to all of your thoughts in the chat room. We will be here for a brief time, but I wanted to make up for last night's technical issues that was happening. Shane Cooks. Let me say his name right. Shane, not Cooks. Shane Cooks. He had 9 tackles and 3 solo tackles. That's Cokes. C-O-K-E-S, Cokes. Shane, S-H-A-N-E. 9 tackles, 3 solo tackles. Tell me if I'm wrong or right about that. And then there was another linebacker, number 22, Kennedy, who had 8 tackles yesterday, 3 solo. So you saw that the defense was flying around trying to make plays. Now let me let you know some of the things that we need to look at here. Colorado, as I said before, only had 17 rushing attempts, while Utah had 53. That's not going to get it. Going into next year, they're going to have to increase the volume of what? Rushing the ball. They've got no choice. Okay, time of possession, Utah had 39 minutes and 4 seconds time of possession, while CU had 20 minutes and 56 seconds. So you see there was a difference in time of possession. 1 fumble by CU, no fumbles, no turnovers by Utah. See how that can make the difference? Those turnovers. Yards per pass. Although, check this out, under Ryan yesterday as the quarterback, they went 9.0 for yards per pass, while Utah was 6.1 for yards per pass. And both teams were playing their backup quarterbacks, of course, there. Total yards, 262 yards for CU, and total yards offense, they got to increase that, for 329 yards of total offense for Utah. Penalties. This is what really hurt them yesterday too, CU. They got to clean this up going into next year. 7 for 59, while Utah was 2 for 15. So you see more time of possession for Utah, more turnovers for CU with the fumble, right? And then, of course, penalties, 7 for 59 versus Utah's only 2 for 15. Those are things that are not good. The thing that really sticks out to me the most, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we're seeing again that CU can't seem to run the ball, or there's not enough commitment to running the ball when you only have 17 yard rushing attempts versus Utah's 53. Meaning Utah was more dedicated to running the ball because that's the type of team that they are. And Coach Prime said in the press conference yesterday that he was expecting them to do exactly what they did, which run the ball. The question is, do we have the dogs? Do we have the big boys to stop the run? I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, that I have to be honest.
Tell the truth.
And tell the truth. That I don't think at this point that CU has the beef in the middle, particularly the defensive tackles, or the defensive line in general. They need more help with the guys that they already have to improve that defensive line to be able to stop the run going into next year. Okay. So, and Coach Prime has said that he knows what they need because he's learned a lot. Let me let you hear what Coach Prime had to say in this audio clip right here. Check this out. Listen to that for a moment before I go to.
Shador was trying to help himself get out of bed this week. I don't know how much he contributed that with Ryan. I'm not going to lie to you. I think he was just trying to take care of his body and get himself together. And we had a bug going around the whole team, including coaches, that I called Weaver before the game and I told him, I can't believe you're not in here. What is wrong with you? But he's a pro, man. And I really wanted him to end right. And, you know, I wanted Shador. I think he had a couple records. He could have his clips. But Weaver, you know, could have got his 1,000 for certain. So, but he's a heck of a young man. And I can't wait to see his next journey.
Shane Cook said several times about the foundation that has been built. Can you describe in your mind what foundation has been built this season?
Understanding what we're capable of and what it takes to get to that level of consistency, of practice habits, of study habits, of holding one another accountable, me not having to do all the yelling, the coaches taking a part in that as well. We established some things that are foundational that when these new young men come in here, they're established, it's in stone, and they just got to proceed with caution.
Now, how many of you agree with Coach Prime that they are establishing something? There's a lot to learn from what happened this season. Another thing that I was kind of shocked to hear him say, that it's about other coaches, I guess, getting on the players besides just him yelling. And I know some guys don't respond to yelling, some guys do, but I found that interesting that he said that he's the main person, you know, kind of getting in their face when they're, and I'm like, wow, the other coaches are not showing any fire as well. That's what it sounds like. I don't want to misquote Coach Prime, but that didn't sound too good to me, that he needs to get these other coaches to, and there's been some coaching, there's going to be some coaching changes on this team, and I'm going to make an announcement about another coach that you are familiar with when this is finished.
As well, we established some things that are foundational that when these new young men come in here, they're established, it's in stone, and they just got to proceed with caution, so to speak, because the guys that are here, they understand this is how it is, this is how it's going to be, and we're going to make sure the standard is the standard.
Yeah. Coach, you said during the week that their staff hadn't started conversations with players that have the option to come back or not. I don't, the option to come back or not. Or if they're just where they stand.
Are you putting words in my mouth? Did I say that?
So now what you're saying, you hear Coach Prime saying, are you putting words in my mouth? Did I say that? Because now there's rumor mill. I have said this on my broadcast here. How many of you out there in the chat room believe this too? I'm going to pull up your thoughts in a moment. Give me a little time here. I believe that there's going to be some kids that are going to leave. There's going to be some kids that are going to stay. Coach Prime said in that press conference yesterday that Ryan, the quarterback that played yesterday, wants to play, and he might be a guy that might leave. Who knows? Coach Prime said that if anybody leaves, he wants them to do well. He wants them to do what's best for them. But you can see Coach Prime right there telling the guy, don't put words in my mouth. Don't create this national theme that I did not say. But obviously, this is how college football works. Guys are going to leave. Kids are going to transfer. Some scholarships may be honored. Some scholarships may not be honored because these scholarships, you know, are not guaranteed for 4 years. A lot of people don't realize that. Not everybody has a full ride sometimes. So we're going to see how this all plays itself out. But let's get back to Coach Prime and let you finish hearing what he was saying.
Did I say kids have the option to come back? I don't think
exhausted eligibility or not.
Oh.
Yeah, like if they want to use their eligibility.
Oh, say that. Say that. That's much more clear.
Sorry.
Because when you say it like that, it comes out different nationally, right?
Sorry.
There you go.
But how
Tell the truth.
Conversations start with players. Is that something you guys want to do as coaches
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's something that some of the players already started, and some of them, I met with a few players last week, this past week, that that you heard murmurings and did I say that right? That still didn't sound right coming out of the mouth. Bickerings or whatever. We hope that they plan on staying, and some guys that they want to go, God bless them. We want the best for them. We want the best for all these young men.
Right there, you can hear Coach Prime saying that he wants the best for all these young men. So he's admitting right there that he's not saying he's throwing anybody off the team, but he's admitting that if there's some young men who want to go because maybe they don't like their playing time, they don't feel like they're fitting in, that if they need to go, he wants to bless them in what they want to do. I think that's very fair, what Coach Prime is saying. But the media, they will try to twist his words and what have you. Let's get back at this.
Coach, over the next few weeks, I know it's obviously huge for signing day and
Mm-hmm.
for all that. Will you personally be doing an in-home visit with recruits?
I don't know. If it's beneficial, I may. If it's not, I won't. What you think? You think it's beneficial?
Coach, this is your first season at the FBS level. What are some things that you feel you've learned about yourself personally?
Well, FBS and FCS, levels are levels, man. I think everybody that we brought from FCS done a pretty darn good job in FBS, right? So I don't think it's a different level of players that we brought in. What I learned for myself is forget the levels. I mean, you could do that in youth football. I learned a tremendous amount of patience. I mean, it would seem as though I'm impatient with some of the things that we did, but I learned a tremendous amount of patience, and I learned really what we need in the character of the young men that we need. I learned so many things about what we need and do not deviate from that. And we're going to stick to it.
Information is power.
As you can see, Coach Prime is basically saying that he's learned more patience this season, seeing how things unfolded. He's also learned even more so exactly what this team is going to need going into the future, going into the 2024 season. And he knows exactly where he needs to plug the holes. Let me just say something right here. I did a video talking about brother Cam, who's the young man who is a two-way player like Travis, just like Travis Hunter. He's a young man, just like Travis Hunter, that has the ability to play defense and offense. This is my man, Cam, who's committed. Out of Statesboro, Georgia. This young man is probably one of the fastest, and I said this in the video that I dropped just the other day ago. He's one of the fastest young men in this recruitment class coming out in 2024. He's going to make a great addition to the program. I think we're happy to have him. And when you see him out there playing with Kamani McLean, who I think both of them are going to be a nice duo for the future. As I said before, playing with Travis Hunter, I think that's going to be a nice duo, him and Travis Hunter playing together on defense and offense. This young man, Cam, said that was one of the things that they said to him during the recruitment, that they want to play him just like they do Travis Hunter. They want to play him both ways on the field. Give him a little, they want him to play wide receiver, obviously, but they want him to dabble in the defensive back. So you're going to have two young men. He's a 4-star recruit, young man who's very athletic, very fast. I've watched tape on him. You saw some of the examples that I showed you in the other video. That's going to be on board. This is the type of young men that Coach Prime is bringing in. So there's nothing to fear when people start saying, oh, what's going to happen to them when they lose recruits? Well, they're going to gain recruits, and they're also going to gain recruits from other schools that decommit from other schools. And I bet you my bottom dollar that you're going to have kids that are probably going to come to see you who originally decommitted, who originally wanted to, that Coach Prime originally wanted to bring to Boulder, who decide to go elsewhere, and they may come to Boulder through way of the transfer portal one day, or they may decommit, right? This thing can happen, everybody. Make sure that you, I want to say thank you for watching. I want to say like and comment and subscribe to this channel if you have not, hit the bell of notification. So what you see there is a young man right here who is blessed with skills, is going to be a great addition to the team. Let's not forget that. So I think Coach Prime is building something here, everybody. We just can't be in denial. Let me make another announcement before I go into the chat room and start pulling up your comments, because there's a lot going on. And remember, everybody, you can also hear this program on the podcast, Spreaker, and Spotify as well. That's different content over there. That's the audio radio podcast that I'm on. I'm on Spreaker. I'm on Spotify, iHeartRadio podcast, Amazon podcast, and the like. Check it all out, where I put different content from the video podcast so that you're getting something different, a different perspective, radio style. I think you'll like the way the broadcast that I do over there. It sounds like something you would hear on a radio broadcast, obviously. Check that out. Subscribe, follow that as well. Make sure you check out the Facebook page and follow over there, because on the Facebook page, I'm dropping lots of video content that you're going to enjoy. Video content, memes, all sorts of stuff that you're going to enjoy. So check out that. That Facebook page is growing very largely over there, and I appreciate you all that have done that. Once again, clap to you. So I really appreciate you very much so. Let's make this announcement right here. You all have heard, and let me just say this right here. This young man you see right next to me right there, Dylan Edward, he is definitely a big future of this team. Dylan Edward is probably going to, not probably, I am sure he's going to come back better, stronger than he was this year. And they've got to figure out a way to make him a staple in the offense more consistently. If you agree with that, everybody, put sevens in the chat room. I appreciate people that are here. Damn, man, above. I'm going to be looking at your statements in just a moment. Just give me a moment here. But this young man, they've got to make him a staple because he's explosive. If you agree, put sevens in the chat room, or say you agree, you believe. They've got to. Okay? Now, just as we thought there's going to be some coaching changes, I think there's going to be a shakeup on this team. Coach Prime is not going to tell you everything, but I think there's going to be some changes. And right now, Tim Brewster, the tight end coach, has now called it quits. He has put in his resignation. I'm sure that many of you are either surprised by this or not surprised by this, but Tim Brewster has said that he is resigning as of now, won't be back. And how many of you, what do you think is going on? Do you think, now remember, he's a tight end coach, and they didn't really use tight ends that much, all, right? Remember, they didn't get the tight ends in the mix when it came to protecting Shedeur like they should have. The only guy who was making any noise on this team, if you can even call him a tight end, was Michael Harrison. Michael Harrison played tight end, but he was more of a slot receiver. He's really not a true tight end. He's not a true blocking and receiving tight end. He was really a guy who has a receiver's body or a receiver's mentality to catch the ball, playing tight end, but you did not see, tell me if I'm wrong or right, did they really use the tight end position effectively? And did they use it at all? And I wonder if that's why Tim Brewster said, I'm out of here, because maybe he felt like the way he had envisioned the tight end unit to be used, it wasn't used, and he probably either didn't like it Or maybe he didn't do a good job of preparing the tight end group. What are your thoughts? This man has resigned, y'all, from the position. That's one of the breaking news. And shout out to Big Dog Chico, because I know Big Dog Chico had a breaking news about this on his channel some hours ago. What do you think in the chat room? Why did Tim Brewster why did Tim, the coach, resign? What is the truth? Will we ever know the truth? Let me read this to you right here. On Sunday morning, tight end coach Tim Brewster announced on X that he has resigned. I'm resigned and just want to say thank you to Prime. Brewster wrote on X, just a truly amazing man and leader. Wish staff and players much continued success. Following the CU 23-17 loss at Utah on Saturday, head coach Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, said there will be a few changes to the coaching staff this offseason. Yes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think is going on? Why did the tight end coach resign? Because when I'm looking at this, now look, I'm going to be petty here. I'm going to be a little petty here. And y'all work with me. Let's look at the coaching staff right here. Don't you find it interesting that Tim Brewster, the tight end coach, he's resigning? But what about Bill O'Boyle, who is the offensive line coach? Why haven't we heard anything about him stepping down? Because his offensive line, the problem with this football team was not the tight end position. Do you believe it was? No. The problem with this football team was their defensive line issues, their offensive line issues. Peter Investor M says, Prime Sports Media, salute to you in the chat. Thank you very much. Chat to you. Hear what I'm saying, folks. Hear what I'm saying this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Ask yourself the logical question. You see the coaching staff here. We got Sean Lewis. Will Sean Lewis be back, ladies and gentlemen? Sean Lewis, there's been rumor mill, and I said this on my radio podcast. He's rumored now. One, he was rumored to go to Michigan State, right? Because Mel Tucker got himself in a situation that's crazy. Then he's now rumored to go to Syracuse because he once upon a time coached at Syracuse, right? Then you got Gary Flea Harrell, right? We got Gary here, who's the running back coach. Running backs were not used as effectively as they should have been. We got to be honest here, right? Bill O'Boyle is the offensive line coach. You can make an argument that he should be looking at a resignation or be looking at his walking papers. Brent, the wide receiver coach, I think he's going to be okay because the wide receivers were good when they were able to get the ball in their hand. Charles Kelly, the defensive coordinator and safeties coach, shouldn't he be on the hot seat? Just asking. Linebacker coach Hart, I don't think he should be on the hot seat. Kevin Matthews, who's the cornerback coach, and I think he's one of the, isn't he one of the assistant coaches on this team as well, right? Then you got Nick Williams, the defensive end coach. He's the coach of the defensive ends. And then, of course, Dennis Thurman, director of quality control of the defense. Where should there be shakeups on this football team if there's going to be shakeups? Will Pat Shurmur, who has NFL experience, will he be retained as the full-time offensive coordinator, or will Sean Lewis remain with this staff and be given back his full-time ability to call the plays. What do you think? I'm going to look at your thoughts in just a moment, because we cannot have Shedeur go through this like he did with the towel over his head, because he's getting hits. And then, of course, yes, Shedeur has got to not hold on to the ball as long. But as I have said to you weeks ago, they're always in a situation when they're playing behind the sticks, and the receivers have to run deeper routes. And when you're running deeper routes, the quarterback has to hold on to the ball a little bit longer to allow those receivers to cut out of those deep routes, because CU is always playing, it appeared this year, way behind the first down sticks. Because why? They can't get the run generated enough to get that passing game a little bit more easier for Shedeur. So these are thoughts, everybody, in the chat room. I appreciate everybody that's here listening to this is the Prime Sports Media YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys. Do me the biggest favor when you get an opportunity to share this in all your social media and what have you. Looking at my time. Let me also make another announcement. I talked about this on the last video. I got to be honest, man, folks, I got like, 4.5 thousand, something like that, almost close to 5,000 reviews in the community tab. I put the picture of Warren Sapp as he's being congratulated for coming to CU. He will be a part of the staff. Hopefully he's taking care of his academic issues to be able to do that. And you guys put out, man, you made that thing go viral in the community tab over this brother right here. I mean, so many comments, and I still haven't gotten to all the comments with the loves that I want to put on him. But this brother right here, I think will be an excellent addition to the team, because he talked about how the players there were infatuated with his football knowledge. You know, him and Coach Prime are really good friends. Let me let you hear what he had to say when he was on the Rich Eisen show 2 months ago. I played this in the podcast, radio podcast, but let me let you hear this right here by Warren Sapp. And let me know what you think about him being added to the team for the defensive line. Now, let me just be honest right here to you. I got to say this to you. Coach Prime has not defined what his role is going to be. So we don't know if he's going to be a defensive line coach, a quality control coach. We don't know yet. But what we do know is we know this right here.
I got my transcript. I'm starting the process, Rich.
Okay.
Them kids, you know what? For the first time in my life, I was loved on by some defensive linemen, and they wanted to know, like the keys to the vault. And I've never had somebody shake my pockets like that and ask for keys to the vault. I mean, Gerald McCoy did, but Gerald didn't shake my pockets. He asked for the keys to the vault, but he didn't shake my pockets. I had 5, 6 young men around me, Rich, that was basically ready to strip search me. Like, I know that there's a key in here somewhere that you gonna give me for this. And they willing to work. And they infected me. They really infected me. And I told Prime before I left, I said, I'm coming back. He said, I got a spot for you. I don't need you over here at 2 in the morning. And when he told me that, then I knew I had an understanding with my head man, because I've always said I would love to do it, but I need a head coach that understands. After 9 o'clock, and Rachel Maddow, I'm going to bed.
Sapp and Rachel Maddow, words that I didn't think we would hear. Warren?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. I knew that.
Rich.
I knew that. Okay.
You know, me and Rachel can go fishing. You know about that, right?
Warren Sapp, Lauren Carlos Sapp, you are one of one.
Sure.
So what, 2024 Colorado Buffalo staff, is that your target date? Is that what that would be for you?
Yeah, I want to be there next year. I'm gonna get everything, the paperwork, and I'm gonna go to work, because sitting on my couch watching tape, making Sapp in the labs, I'm gonna go Sapp in the class.
Sounds great.
I'm gonna go Sapp online. Sapp's gonna go get this degree, and then we're gonna go out and teach these kids these 5 steps to the quarterback, because I know something about this game. When you
Whoa, that's deep. I like that you hear what he said. He's going to go out there and teach these kids the 5 steps to the quarterback, the 5 steps to getting pressure to the quarterback. They need that because that was one of the things that was glaringly an issue where they were not able to consistently get to the quarterback as much as they needed. A lot of these quarterbacks in the Pac-12 were able to carve them up. Now, they're not going to be, as you already know, in the Pac-12, all right, next year. They're going to be in the Big 12 next year. Things are going to be changing very soon. So I just want you guys to realize that they're going to the Big 12 next year, and also that opens up the door for Coach Prime to get even further recruits that he's going to need on this team in the Texas area and throughout the South area.
have a quarterback like Shador, and if my D-line will go hunt the other quarterback, our chances of winning just went through the roof.
Yeah.
Woo! Did you just hear what he said? That if I can teach them the 5 steps to getting to the quarterback, then someone like Shador, because the defense will be getting him the ball back. If they can get to the quarterback, then someone like Shador can get more work done on the offense if the defense is not on the field for so long being shredded. What do you all think about that? What Sapp had to say? Do you agree with him? Are you happy? From what I understand, when I put that post in a community tab and it went super viral, it's obvious to me that you all are very happy with the addition of Warren Sapp. Now, you heard what he said in that video, that he had to get his transcripts. He has to complete some classes so that he's academically, hell, I wish he was academically eligible to play for the damn team. I wish he had a hell, I wish Warren Sapp had some eligibility. What y'all think? But nah, in all seriousness, he's working to get himself academically prepared so that he can work with this team. So what capacity he's going to be in? Look, we can make a guess from what he just said right there that he's going to probably be working heavily with consulting the defensive line, right? Because that's what he knows. He's not a defensive back coach. He's not a safeties coach. He's not he wasn't a linebacker. He knows something about getting to the quarterback. And I think that's what he's going to impart on these young men, as he was saying that they wanted the keys. They wanted the keys to the secret of how to get to the quarterback. And he said they were shaking him for those keys, and he's going to be very happy to be there. I think it's a great addition to the team. What do you think? Speak on it in the chat room. I'm going to be looking at your comments in just a moment. This is what I wanted to present so far that I did not have a chance to present yesterday because there were so many technical problems going on with the stream yesterday. So with that said, everybody, I'm glad to have this brother on board. And I think it's fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. So let's see what your thoughts are in the chat room. Let's hear what the people have to say. The people will speak. Let's read your comments right now. All right, we got Rich Ross in the house saying, for what they had no recruits, just portal players. Okay, and that schedule was crazy. Yeah, their schedule was difficult. Most of the players. This is the thing you have to understand. What was Coach Prime supposed to do? You can't recruit kids out of high school that fast to get to a program that you take over within the short time that he had to take it over. And he had to build this team with some guys that had experience, which is why he utilized the transfer portal. You can only, he was only able to bring in so many kids straight out of high school, right? You got to put together, you can't have a football team with just all fresh out of high school players and think you're going to compete against guys that are juniors and seniors and have more seasoned experience. So you had to bring in some guys that had some experience blended in with the freshmen that are coming in too. You got to keep that in mind, and keep this in mind too. Coach Prime says he knows what they need now They can target what they need now. And no chemistry. They did good. They could. Yeah. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. We got CJ in the house. Bro, he had picked his own team and went 1-8. CJ, what make you think, all due respect to you, CJ, what make you think, brother, that no coach of a college football team doesn't have some influence in picking their own players? So that means that all the other coaches in the country that had a bad season, they pick their own players too, sir. That's the nature of the game. Sometimes you're going to pick players that are winners. Sometimes you're going to pick players that are not. But this is the difference. This is not NFL football. This is the difference. This is college football. Some of these kids are still going to get better. Kamani McLean's going to get better. Amari Miller will get better. He's got a lot of freshmen on this team who need more work. Building a college football team is not the same as drafting players in the NFL. You are getting guys that are not a finished product, either physically, spiritually, mentally. They're not there yet. Kamani McLean will be a better player for this team next year than he was this year with 1 year under his belt, sir. Keep that in mind. Let's see. 13. What are Yankees? Let me see. I don't know what you're talking about there. So let's move on here. Good night. Let me see. What's going on? Good night. Yeah, keep calling Deion BLM Sanders a coach. All right. So all the haters that are in here, keep talking, because I'm not paying you no mind. Keep talking. I want to hear you talk that talk when they play, when they have a better season next year. Then I want to hear what you have to say. Let me see. The H family says, CJ, by the time Prime made it to Boulder late December, the best players were all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The H family making sense. Common sense. That's a fact. You got to look at when Coach Prime got recruited to coach they got Coach Prime late in the process. They didn't get him early in the process. So what happened is Coach Prime had to scramble to put a roster together. That is exactly correct what you just said, the H family. And then Andrew says, agree, best players were gone, so he's got his son. Yeah. Well, come on, man. Look, don't start talking. This is the thing. We cannot deny that Shedeur is a great quarterback. No quarterback in the history of college football has put up the numbers that he put up. He led all quarterbacks in purpose yard. No quarterback has put up the numbers that he put up without having a proper offensive line to protect him. Only 3 interceptions on the year. There's no quarterback that could have taken the punishment that he took and put up those numbers. So we know that him bringing his son over was a great decision in terms of the fact that Shedeur is going to be a high-ranking first-round draft pick in the 2025, 2024 draft or 2025 draft. Okay, so he will have the last laugh. So now we want to talk about Prime's prep school, high school. Sir, please don't bring up that. What that got to do with what's going on right now? The man is coaching college, man. That's just nonsense. Just nonsense. Pure nonsense. The haters are out in full blast. All right, Wild Dog. Sapp went to a Power 5 school, so his college credits will transfer. Yeah, that's right. credits for the professional experience and acceleration. Yeah, he'll take accelerated courses to complete that. What's going on? I'm so glad to see Sister Patricia in the house and Peggy Roster in the house, some of my mods in the house. So glad to have you over here. And my man, Wild Dog, I'm going to mod you up too, brother. And James Blackburn, I'm glad to see you here. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to mod you up. Let's see. All right, Wild Dog, you are a mod on the channel. Appreciate you coming over. Let's read this right here. We've got Patola 45 says, can Colorado even beat the best community college teams? At this point in time, let me just say this to everybody. At this point in time, it's irrelevant considering that yesterday was their last game. They lost the game 23-17. They've only gotten blown out by 2 teams in their conference. Every other game that they lost, they actually could have won. So at this point, the season is over. So there's no need to keep talking about what they can win, what they can beat when they're going to be a different team next year. So we're on to a new slate. So this whole thing about what they can't beat is actually irrelevant now because they've already played the season. They have, what is a 4-8 record, something of that nature. They were 1-11 last year. Coach Prime has brought a lot to the table here. I'm going to play something for you all. Let me play something for you guys. Let me play what Sherm had to say. And hopefully you all will be able to hear this just well. Let me play this audio real quick. Matter of fact, wait a minute. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. I want to play something for you guys. I'm going to put this up here and keep reading. Let me see. Coach Victim brought. Let me see. Andrew says, I don't like subprime because he teaches young men that attract attention to more important. Nah, disagree with you. Totally disagree. Let's see. We got Molly. Let me see. I stay in Vegas and there's a lot of CU fans there. Fantastic. Now, this is what I want to play for you all.
I think this is a successful team.
Now, let me play for you what Richard Sherman said on the Undisputed. Here's a man who played at Stanford University, won an NFL championship, was one of the best defensive backs in the country, knows something about football, and this is his opinion on the season, all right, on it overall. And listen closely to what Richard Sherman had to say.
I think this is a successful season for University of Colorado. I think they're happy with what has happened this year. They're selling out stadiums. There's excitement around the program. There are big-time recruits there. There are celebrities there. They're on national television almost every week, regardless of their record. The interest in this school is high. And as they transfer to the Big 12 Conference, they have momentum.
Right.
And it's not like, hey, this is a down-and-out dead program that's a lame duck program that nobody's looking at, nobody's looking to come to. People are still excited. Sure, this was a team that we put expectations on, to Keyshawn's point. We put them on after they beat a ranked TCU team because they came out with low to no expectations, and they had a big game. They overachieved in their first game, and they overachieved in a number of games. They were in a dogfight with USC.
Right.
They could have won the Stanford game and had 5 wins. And they had
Right.
a number of other games
Right.
that they were in and could potentially have been bowl eligible. So there is growth. But Prime said it before the season even started, that there were deficiencies on this roster that needed to be addressed before they were ever going to be.
Boom. Didn't Prime already tell us? This is for people who believe, this is not for the haters, because the haters are going to hate because they've got nothing else to do with themselves. For people who believe and have common sense, didn't Coach Prime already tell us that he didn't have everything that he needed on his team? Just as H Family said, he took over this team late in December, had to put something together, and this program is in better shape under Coach Prime than it was prior to him getting there. Prior to him getting there, nobody was talking about CU. None of us were, let's be honest. Nobody was going to their games. No kids were even thinking about, even 4- or 5-star recruits were even thinking about going there. They had no identity anymore. He's brought a national spotlight to the program. They weren't even on national television before Prime got there. Now they're on national television. Now there's an opportunity to bring in better players. They're generating more capital. They're getting, they're going to be kids. They're going to be money being brought there. There's going to be NIL for some of these youngsters. Let's continue hearing what a real professional football player who won a championship, who was part of the Legion of Boom in Seattle, knows more about football than any of us in the chat room or me on this show right now, Richard Sherman.
Considered a true contender. Both sides of the line, offensive and defensive line, needed to be addressed. And we saw that. We saw that deficiency. There were games Shador had, less than a second sometimes, a second and a half to process and throw the ball and get the ball off.
Right.
He has the playmakers on the outside.
Right.
But then again, Travis Hunter gets hurt for your toughest 3-game stretch of the season.
Right.
And we're not talking about it. And so I think it's been a success. I think if this happens next year and they go 4-8 next year, after they get new pieces and after they have a recruiting class and that transfer class, then we're having a different conversation.
Right.
But I don't think this is going to happen again. I think he's going to get the recruits that he's looking for. He's going to get the reinforcements, and they're going to have a bowl-eligible season next year, and that'll be success.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard the observations of a real football player, a man who played at college, the highest level, and he's a graduate with a master's degree, intelligent brother, won an NFL championship, played at the highest level of the game, knows what he's talking about, not you trolls and you haters, knows what he's talking about. He admitted it so. He broke it down. He admitted that, yeah, there were times when Shador couldn't get his passes to some of his great players on the outside at receiver because of offensive line problems. They won a bunch of games without Travis Hunter, which one of their top guys on defense and offense as well, right? Says that, hey, if they go 4-8 next year, there'll be more pressure on them, even more than this year. But he doesn't think that's going to happen because he sees bigger things on the horizon coming forward. Now, Coach Prime has already said in press conferences that there are kids calling their foam off the hook. There are young kids that are calling Shador, Travis Hunter, Shallow, saying, man, I want to get there. How can I get there? I want to leave where I'm at. I want to play there. Okay? So a lot of things that are happening for those of us who believe, who understand that the team can get better. It's going to take time. It's not going to be an overnight boom. The team will be better, which is why the haters, the Jason Woodlock haters, and all the people that's just hating because they got nothing else better to do with their life, you're going to look like a clown, and we're going to have the last laugh. Let's go to my man, Wild Dog, saying, even winning teams, Heisman teams, and returning champs only had 100% sellout games against CU. Right. We got DC. We got brother DC Carson Music. Thank you for coming over to the channel and subscribing if you have. Appreciate you. He says, but how can Sherman say, okay, let's look at what you're saying. He says, how can Sherman say that as a statement of fact if he doesn't know who's leaving and who is coming in? Okay. What you're saying, sir, makes logical sense. Sherman doesn't know that, but guess what? Wait a minute. How do we not know that he doesn't know that? Unlike, check this out, brother, and don't take what I'm going to say wrong. Unlike you and me and everybody in that chat room and everyone listening, none of us have Coach Prime's phone number. Brother Sherman, how do you not know that he's not on the phone talking to Coach Prime personally? How do you not know he hasn't had personal conversations with Shador, any of these players? He could be talking to Prime, and Prime could be telling him, hey, this is what this is what we got, we're working on. So I would take Sherm's word a lot heavier than any of us, because none of us have access to calling Coach Prime up right now and saying, Coach Prime, what do you think is going to happen for your team next year? He might know some things that we don't know, but he's just not going to come on national television and just tell everything. So you got to remember that. These players are in a fraternity, man, and they talk to each other behind the scenes about things that we never know about. So that's why I think Sherm can say that, because he got more access to what's going on than we do. And that's what I'm saying. We got to use logic and take the emotions out of it. You make a very good point, my brother, but at the same time, he might have information that we don't know about, because you know that these guys who are ex-football players, they got the phone numbers of these people. You know he got Prime phone number.
Information is power.
You know he can talk to people down there because he's part of the media too, and he's an ex-player. We got to use common sense. What's going on, James Blackburn?
Information is power.
Let me see. Coach Prime said we were 8 to 9 dogs away from being. Folks, we are 8 or 9 dogs away from being comfortable. And if they get more addition to that, it's going to get better. Look, this is what I'm saying. This is all we're trying to say over here on this platform. It takes time. We got very hyped up. We got very excited because they beat TCU, they beat Nebraska, they beat Colorado State, they beat some teams, and we got caught up in the emotions of it all. The media got caught up in the emotions of it all. We understand that. It takes time to build a team. There's going to be some ups and downs in a season. We got more ups than we got more downs than we had ups, but it doesn't mean that this team can't get better. Coach Prime has already said that the difference now for next year than this year is that he needed everything. He had to, the covers were uncovered. He had to get everything in there, and he had to do it within a short time. Now he can say, okay, we need a left tackle. We need a right tackle. We need a bigger defensive tackle. We need a faster defense. He knows what he needs now. He knows what he needs now. We got Cindy Hayward. And hey, what's going on, Cindy? Thank you for coming back over. How about calling Coach Prime right now? Yeah, I mean, let's just be honest about that. You know, I'm not going to discount what someone like Sherman is saying because, like I said before, he can call Coach Prime and talk to him privately. And maybe he has. And maybe that's why he's talking the way he just talked on that audio that I played you guys, because he knows something that we don't know. I don't even think Coach Prime is telling us. It's like playing poker. Any of you in the chat room ever played poker? Put a 7 in the chat room. When you play poker, you don't let everybody know what your hand is. You might show a little bit. You may say, hey, I got this, but you ain't going to show your full hand. And if you listen to my radio podcast, the latest one that I put out, do you know that in November, you had other coaches from other schools lying to recruits and saying, you know, Coach Prime is not going to stay at Colorado, so you don't want to go there. Coach Prime came out In that radio podcast, I quoted what he said. He said, other coaches, this is the hate that's going on, folks. Other coaches are lying to recruits that could potentially go to CU by saying that Coach Prime is not going to be there. There's some funny business going on, y'all. We got Dan Man Above says 7. What's going on? Now, look, I'm not saying that nobody has the right to have a critical opinion of what's been going on or of the coaching staff. I'm just saying, don't make personal statement. Don't make it personal. Make it football related. Like, I don't like getting into the personal stuff. I like to just focus on, boom, this is why they're not playing well in this area. This is what the problem is. And yes, Coach Prime is the head coach and the buck has to stop with him. I totally agree with that. But I can critique the team without putting personal shots out, because the personal shots, that's not football. That's just being personal shots. That's not football. What's going on, sister? She says, come on, man, or tell the truth. Yeah, tell the truth. Thank you, my sister. Thank you for coming over. We got a Mega Red. Let me see what a Mega Red is saying. Prime called players when he was on game day. He's committing that they got his number. Yeah, exactly. Right. Let me see. There's a lot of hate for Coach Prime, as you saw the official yesterday. Yeah, but how many of you in my radio podcast, you can hear it on Spreaker, all that kind of stuff, or Spotify. I talked about, there was an article that came out, and I think people kind of went to sleep on it, that there were coaches lying and telling recruits, you don't want to go to CU because Coach Prime ain't going to be there 2024. He ain't going to be there 2000. They're already pushing that narrative. Now, let's use some common sense here. If Coach Prime is not going to have a good team going into the future, if his team ain't going to be no good, why would the other coaches be doing their best to keep players, top players, from going there? Because they are concerned that if these top players go to CU, that Coach Prime is going to be a problem for them, because he's going to now get a big team. He's going to now get a strong team. He's going to have a better team. They're doing what they're doing because they know that Coach Prime's got a better personality than them. They know that Coach Prime is more experienced than them, more qualified in terms of his football acumen and pedigree. Because if Coach Prime and what he's building at CU was a fly-by-night situation, the other coaches wouldn't be lying to recruits. Now, I know all coaches say things when they're competing against other teams. I get it. All coaches say things to keep kids from going to the other team, right? But from what I'm seeing in the article that I read, a whole slew of these coaches are lying. There's some jealousy. There's some envy. Even with Coach Prime losing these games, these other coaches are still concerned because they know what the possibilities are. That's what I'm talking about. Molly says this, because he's a winner, like in Jackson State, Alabama State coach got mad and wanted to fight coach. Yeah, you exactly right. Let me see. Stephen A. started that rumor about pushing a narrative that he's going to leave and go to Texas. Oh my God. I wish Stephen A. Smith would stop saying stuff. Let me let you hear something else. I'm glad you brought that up, my sister. Let me let y'all hear something else. Stephen A. Smith, why don't he stop saying things? Why don't he just stop it? Please stop it. Check him out. Check him out.
Because the next subject involves...
I didn't like this. This is on my radio podcast as well.
Head coach for the Colorado Buffaloes.
Check this out.
After a blistering start to their season, Colorado is now 4-7 following their 56-14 loss to Washington State. The loss officially prevents the Buffs from being eligible for a bowl game. Coach Sanders discussed the difficult stretch of the season. Take a look.
How much are guys kind of auditioning for where they stand going into the season?
I don't know about audition, man. We're trying to win. We're trying to win.
Let me say this to you right here, CJ. There's an article. Matter of fact, there's an article where Coach Prime was quoted as saying that there's other coaches out there that are trying to lead recruits away from him. But I just said a few minutes ago, brother CJ, that all coaches in college football say things to keep kids from going to opposite teams that are their rival teams, right? We know all coaches do what they got to do to keep players from going to other teams, right? What I'm saying is that Coach Prime said himself that there's been coaches that have specifically have been targeting, trying to keep him from getting certain players. Now, that ain't a lie because, like I said, they don't want to see Coach Prime blow the program up, CJ. Use some common sense here, CJ. You know this, brother, that all these coaches do whatever they can to keep their competitors from getting players. They're in the business of competing for the best players, right? But if this football team wasn't going to be nothing under Prime, they wouldn't be concerned about having to try to convince any of these kids. Now, would they? Use some logic, brother. Let me let you hear the rest of this clip. Check this out.
We're just trying to win a football game. I don't know about the auditions. We're trying to win.
Well, if you're trying to win, you're not trying very hard. And I would certainly not accuse any team associated with primetime Deion Sanders of that. So it's not a matter of just trying to win. I know the effort is there. What primetime Deion Sanders is not saying, we just don't have the horses. You got annihilated by Oregon on national television. You just got annihilated by Washington State. You were up 29-0 on Stanford at halftime, and you blew that game in double overtime, losing 46-43. You've lost to Oregon State. The list just goes on and on and on. The Colorado Buffaloes look awful right now. And here's why. Here's the biggest reason why. We got to call it like we see it. They don't have the horses.
Right, we
I don't
already
want
know
to hear
that.
anybody talking about the coach in the primetime Deion Sanders. The man didn't forget how to coach.
We already know that.
Okay? He knew how to coach when he was at Jackson State and HBCU. He knew how to coach the first few games when he resurrected this program, when they upset TCU to open the season, the national runner-up last season. Okay? Beat up on Nebraska, beat Colorado State. Okay? Struggled offensively against UCLA, totally true. Went in a shootout, lost in a shootout against USC. We get it. They've had some good moments, certainly better moments than they had last year before primetime Deion Sanders arrived. This isn't about coaching with the Colorado Buffaloes. This is about the fact that they don't have any hogs. They don't have those big boys with the beef. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Florida State looks like they made a tremendous decision because they're 11-0. They beat Florida. They will finish the season at 12-0, going into their conference tournament and all of this other stuff. But let me tell you something right now. I wish Deion was there. I wish he was at a different program. I wish that Texas A&M would call him. I wish somebody with huge coffers and alumni with fat wallets that could put him in a position where he's competing in a conference like the SEC. He's going up against Nick Saban. He's going up against Kirby Smart. He's going up against Brian Kelly and those boys. Lane Kiffin, throw him in there too. I wish they would give Deion Sanders an opportunity like that. He can tell you all the stuff he wants to about how he ain't thinking about anything but being here in Colorado. Got his home here, got his family here, all that other stuff. They know how to move. He knows how to get on a plane and fly. Hell, he can drive. Pack the van up and drive to hell of Texas A&M. If I'm Texas A&M, if you could pay Jimbo Fisher $76 to $79.
Let me stop it right there. It's obvious that Stephen A. Smith wants to see Coach Prime coach at another school because he doesn't believe that Coach Prime can get the type of players that is necessary. One of the things that I thought was key that he said is that it wasn't that he's not about him not being able to coach. He just feels that that's not a place that he can get the players. Now, this is where I disagree with Stephen A. Smith. Obviously, if he was in the SEC with a bigger program and profile, yeah, he could attract kids even easier. I get that point, but I don't think that he's not able to get the big names to CU. It's just you got to give him time. He's only been there 1 year. But I think Stephen A. Smith, just at the end of the day, he wants to see what Coach Prime could do in a conference like the SEC with all those resources and money and all of that, blah, 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 right? And of course, last time we checked, Texas A&M hasn't made any formal inquiry on trying to talk to Coach Prime. And Coach Prime is still at CU. He's committed to CU. He's going to coach there. They're going to get better. Another thing that Stephen A. Smith's not taking into account is the transfer portal. For him to leave and go to another program, that would mean that both his sons would have to go through the transfer portal. And I said in a previous video that there's rules to when you can transfer, when you can't. And if you do transfer, there's penalties that occur. If Shador was to transfer to a Texas A&M, for example, with him, if he was to go there, the question would be, would he be able to play in his last year? Would he have to sit out? Would it be some violation? Because you can only transfer so many times without so many penalties. This would be a second transfer after transferring from boom. His daughter has transferred to come to Colorado to play basketball there. Would she have to now go? See what I'm saying? Then you have to uproot the family. The mother likes it there. The family likes. So there's a lot of other areas that I think Stephen A. Smith is not taking into account here. Okay, let's move on. But I appreciate everybody. Yeah, he's not hard to find, James. He's not hard to find. We know that. If we disagree, we're labeled as no. Look. Let me correct something. You are serious. I don't think people are. And I've said this over and over again. I don't think people are haters because they have a difference of opinion. I think people are haters when they start saying personal stuff, taking personal shots that's not football related. For example, the kind of crap that Jason Woodlock is doing. Let me let y'all hear something before I end the day, if I can find it. Jason Woodlock. I want y'all to hear this. I may not even have it on here. I might have deleted it. Let me let y'all. Jason Woodlock on his show. Well, you can hear it on my latest Prime Sports Media podcast, radio style podcast. How many of you in the chat room either heard him say this or heard about it or watched it on my listened to it on my podcast? Jason Woodlock on his YouTube channel had the ridiculous audacity, you are serious, to compare Coach Prime to Jim Jones. How many of y'all heard that? Either you heard it on my radio podcast or you heard it on his channel. He had the audacity to compare Coach Prime, saying that Coach Prime is a cult leader of a football cult leader. Coach Prime has taken nobody's life. He's harmed nobody. He has taken nobody's life. And he compares him to Jim Jones, who took thousands of people's lives, black people's lives. And the reason why I take it personally, because I have friends and people that I know who lost their families in that. Matter of fact, I lived and grew up in the neighborhood where his church was, could see the church, saw people and how this man was a parasite, a man who gave people drugs, manipulated men's husbands and wives, took wives from men. And you compare him Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you have heard this? That's what I mean about a hater. A hater is someone who uses personal statements to harm the reputation of a person. A hater is someone who doesn't focus on football, right? So if you say, hey, Coach Prime has got to do a better job of managing the team, that's not hating on him. I think that's true. I think all coaches need to do a better job of managing their team. Or Coach Prime needs to emphasize to his coaches that they got to run the ball more. That's not hating. But when you say things like, well, Coach Prime is a clown, he's a clown, man, and he needs to go back to, all that kind of stuff. That type of, he's a clown, or you're making personal shots. Those are not football statements. Those are personal shots because you just don't personally like him. I'm saying when you do that, that does make you a hater. That does make you a troll because you're not saying a football related question that's based in logic. You see? What's going on, my sister? I don't listen to Jason Woodlock. And I hate to get into this because I talk about racial and social issues on my first channel, The Information Man Show. But on this channel, I wanted to say this. Jason Woodlock, if you notice, and I said this in my radio podcast, he spends most of his time talking negatively about black people. Everything he's got to say is a negative about anything black, everybody black. And because he's a quote unquote born again Christian, he thinks that he has this high moral ground to judge everybody and mainly makes his judgments on black folks. I find that interesting. And he works for a network that is pretty much a conservative right-wing network. So you always got to consider the source, right? What's going on? Wow Dog says, Larry Chapman stopped the cap. Coach Prime 2 times, SWAC champion and Hall of Famer, had regular offers but chose a place that needed him. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're making sense. Let me see. Oh man, they lost Coach Brewer too. Yeah, he resigned, King. He resigned. He was the tight end coach. But let's be honest, they didn't really use the tight ends really that much. So I'm wondering if he quit because he didn't feel like he was coaching a unit that was being used, or maybe he felt that he failed the team. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get the truth in the end, why he really resigned. Who knows? Big Dog G, and that's the reason why he's not on TV anymore on the sports channel. Right. Hey, Big Dog G, you're absolutely right. Remember, Jason Woodlock was on Sports 1, SF1, Fox, and they got rid of him because, one, they didn't give him the money that he thought he was valued, and he hurt himself. He has no credibility. He hurt himself. We got Big Bird in the house saying, how many times did Deion place the blame squarely on his shoulders? That's a very logical question. I don't think that Deion has put blame on his shoulders like every time, but I do. If you go back and just look at some of his press conference videos, he has said that the coaches got to do better, I got to do better, and the players got to do better. So he has made mention that he's got to do better as a coach as well, and the coaches got to do better. Now, is he squarely saying on video, I'm the blame, I'm the blame? I haven't heard him talk like in that kind of narrative where he's like, all the blame is me, right? Because no, all the blame is he's the head coach, so he has to take some blame. Yes. But other people on this team that he brought over who were hired to do a specific job, they have to do their job too. Would you agree with that, Big Bird? Hayward, let me see. Hayward Reed, Coach Prime generated over $100 million in his 2 years at Jackson State. Wow. Omega Red says Tony Gonzalez coming in for tight end coach. I'm just kidding. Hey, that would be good though, don't you think? Don't you think? Let's see. Ask Brenda. 4-star Antoine Hill decommitted from. Oh, 4-star Antoine Hill decommitted? Are you sure? Let me write that down. I might need to do a video on that. I'll do an uploaded video for you guys. Are you sure about that, sister? Let me write that name down. Wow. Well, remember I said earlier, and CJ didn't want to hear what I had to say, that Coach Prime came out and said that there are coaches lying and telling players that he's going to leave. Even though they should listen to Coach Prime and talk to Coach Prime about that sort of stuff and not listen to other coaches. But young men can be influenced, right? 4-star Antoine Hill decommitted from Colorado. Oh. Okay, my sister, I'm just writing that down. I'm going to do some research on that and look out. I'll be doing another uploaded video. Maybe I'll talk about that particular issue. I got to do more research on what you're talking about. Thank you for dropping that on us. We got KMS 92.9. That sounds like a radio station. Do you have a radio program? KMS 929? Yes, he did. So he did? Wow. I hate to hear that. The man above says, even if Hill does decommit, we're not even sure if it impacts Prime. None of us know if he will even be here. That's just a fact. Okay. See, the man above, that statement that you made is a very fair statement. None of us know what a person's going to do, right? I don't think he's going to leave, but that statement that you just left, I don't see that as a statement of a hater, right? But if you start saying some personal things about Coach Prime, getting personal, then it would come off as being a hater. That's how I look at these things. Let's see. Brenda says 5-star wide receiver Winston Watkins already decommit. No, wait, Winston Watkins? Yeah, he did. I already talked about that. Yeah, but he decommitted a long time ago, and he said, I read his on Twitter or on X. He said that he still has love for Colorado. He said he decommitted because he wants to keep his options open. He talked with his father. He also was one of these young men that sort of was under this belief that Coach Prime was not going to be there in 2025. So he's also concerned about that. And he want to keep his option open. Now, anything can change down the line, asked Brenda. Anything can change, but you're right about that. He's the cousin of Sammy Watkins, who played at Clemson and also got drafted by the Buffalo Bills. Remember that?
Tell the truth.
Good points. Good point. Everybody's bringing in some good football points here. I like football talk. Big Dog G, but the kid is not realizing they're going to be shuffling and no name at these colleges, not on TV exposure. Interesting. We got King, who says they don't think Prime will be there. That's fair. No. Yeah, it's a fair fix. It's something fair to think, but it's not fair at the same time because he has not said anything about leaving. You got everybody else like Stephen A. Smith trying to get him out the door. Okay, it's crazy. Right? Then there's the whole thing about the NFL, and Coach Prime already said he's not interested in going to the NFL at this point. So I don't know. I don't know. DB, that's goofy. No loyalty. I wish kids would not play games. Yeah, when you're young like that, you're not always sure of yourself. Welcome says he needs to leave, brother. Let me see. Eric Sutton says he's a celebrity. If Diddy was a coach, he would bring eyes as well. Yeah, but Coach Prime is not just a celebrity, man. I mean, he played the game at the highest level, college, high school, football. So we're not just talking about a guy who's a prima donna who didn't accomplish anything, right? We're talking about Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, who has accomplished a lot in this game of football. That cannot be denied at all. We got DD and BB who says, Hill defense definitely decommitted. The game is going to be to commit for the clout and decommit for the real choice. Right, because you know what? You made a very good point. You got some of these kids. Who was the guy who was the defensive back that Colorado was trying to get early in the year, and he took a visit, and he ended up going to Florida State? And a lot of people believe that he basically was clout chasing. He was using Deion Sanders in Colorado as leverage against Florida State when he knew he already wanted to go to Florida State, right? What was his name? I forgot his name. Somebody put that name in the chat room. That's a good point. Yeah, Charles Lester III. Thank you. That's another thing we got to realize. Some of these kids are also playing some manipulative games too, when they really know that they want to go to one school by saying they're going to go to this school. They're going to take an unofficial visit, or they're going to take a visit and they're going to play. Yeah. So that's a very good point. Charles Lester was one of those guys, young men, who I think he leveraged the hype around CU to bring hype to himself when he ultimately knew that he wanted to go to Florida State. So I think a lot of some of these kids are doing that. And then you've got players who might say they're going to go to another school when they really want to go to CU, and they might be doing the same thing to bring attention to themselves. Those are excellent points. How many top offensive linemen are committed to CU right now? Right now, I think brother Jordan Cedar is the kid that we want and we're hoping to get, but this is a long process. So then you had the young man from junior college who's pretty good, who's coming in. He's a left tackle or right guard or something of that nature. So that's an area, I'm glad you said that, Big Bird. That's an area that we need help in and needs to be solidified, is the offensive line. You're absolutely correct. I'm not going to sit up here and deny what you're saying. I'm going to be looking, like all of you, to see what offensive lineman they get, because that's an area of desperate need. Desperate need. DB said this, all of this is why I say Sapp will be great for recruiting linemen. They come with line. Yeah, he's going to be great for recruitment. We got Lennon, let me see, TV. Let's be honest. These kids see the writing on the wall and know Coach Prime is leaving. But what evidence do we have that he's leaving right now? Has there been any other team that has made an official offer to Coach Prime that we know about? We know that Stephen A. Smith has been the biggest cheerleader for him to leave and go to the SEC, but there's only one team in the SEC that's in need of a coach, and that's Texas A&M. And Texas A&M, as far as I know right now, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, has not made any official offer to Coach Prime. And Coach Prime has not come out and said that he's going anywhere, even though he hasn't denied that he's not interested in the Texas A&M job, but he has not said he's going anywhere. And then I got to also say to you this, he's not going anywhere this year because there's also a question of, can he bring his sons with him? Remember, Shallow is a graduate student. There are different rules for transferring when you are a graduate student. He wants both of them to come out in the draft next year, right? Can Shador make another transfer to another program and still play that same year without having to sit out? You saw what happened to Tyler Brown. So we have to use some logic here. Until I see legitimate offers coming his way, and the only name that's been swirling out there is the Texas A&M, who has not made any official offer to Coach Prime, then I would have to say to you, my brother, why do you think he's leaving? Are you saying he's leaving in 2025, 2026? If that's the case, talk to me about it when we're in the year 2025. But right now, it looks to me that he's coming back for the 2024 college recruitment year. Why would he go out of this way to try to recruit kids to bring them to CU only to leave? If he knows he's going to leave, it doesn't make sense. Why would someone like the young man Cam, who's just committed to the university, why would he go through all that trouble to try to get that kid to come to CU to leave and bout? Now, I have to be honest here. None of these kids have signed a letter of intent, which means they could still change their mind, right? Now, I know what you're saying. Well, if Coach Prime goes to another school, these kids can just follow him where he goes. That's true. But the kids that transferred in from somewhere else, will they be able to do the same thing if they choose to go with him? That's another issue. Big Bird says, why would another Power 5 team want Deion after the year he had? What are you talking about, Big Bird? They would want him because he brings clout. He brings money, economic boom, and economic excitement. What do you see? What you just said didn't make any sense, Big Bird. You just saw what he did to a program that's been dormant for years in CU. If you would have put Coach Prime in a bigger program that's even more prominent, it would double. He would double economically what he did at CU. Look at what he did in terms of viewership in college. Because of Coach Prime at CU, viewership in college football went up more than it ever had. So there's programs out there that would say, okay, Coach Prime didn't have a good year, but damn it, we saw what he did economically. The merchandise is selling off the hook. We saw how kids were enthusiastic. We saw how the media was enthusiastic. We would want some of that. Come on now. But we're just talking right now because there's been no offers. There's been no offers, sir. Let's think logical here. People, be honest. It's not that he's a great coach. It's a celebrity fact. Yeah, well, I think his celebrity factor does play a role. Yes, KMS 929. But I also think not only a celebrity factor, it's the fact that you have a lot of kids of this generation that like Coach Prime. But you got to keep this in mind. He has legitimate pedigree. He has a legitimate football pedigree, sir. He has legitimate pedigree in football. You're only basing off of what he did the 1 year he was at CU. He was very successful at Jackson State. And for that other person that came in and talked about the Truth Academy had its problems because you had people in the community that wasn't supporting Truth Academy. You're not looking at the positive impact that he had on youngsters. That's where we blow the ball. We blow it. It's not just about football, but it's about the positive impact that he's also had on young men throughout his years, not just at CU, but prior to all of this stuff. We got Pearson Brown says, man, it's only his first. Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you. I mean, see, that's a logical, intelligent statement there. It's only his. Look, I can see if Coach Prime has been at CU for 4 years, 5 years, and this is what we were seeing, right? Now I can see your arguments being justified, but it's just his first year. And I'm going to say this again. Was y'all this hard on Nick Saban when he went to Alabama and was losing, and it took him 3 to 4 years to get Alabama to a prominent position? Nah, y'all wasn't hating on Nick Saban. Nah, y'all wasn't. Y'all let Nick Saban take over Alabama. Y'all let him go through his losing years, his lean years, and y'all didn't even hate on him when Nick Saban left the Miami Dolphins hanging at the altar. Remember, he took the Miami job. He ran his butt from LSU to Miami and then turned around and left them hanging to take on the Alabama job because they probably offered him more money and full control. And then when he got there, he was losing games and getting his butt kicked. And now he's won, not because he had been there 1 year to get where they are now. It's because he's been there many years to build them where they are now. And remember, how many of y'all know this? Nick Saban, who sat up there and tried to say, oh, how could Coach Prime get Travis Hunter? Oh, he must be paying him. You know why? Because he wanted Travis Hunter. He was trying to recruit Travis Hunter to go to Alabama. Matter of fact, he tried to recruit Deion Sanders. How many of y'all remember that? Because he knew that he needed the big dogs to win. And now Coach Prime knows that he needs more big dogs to win. You see the logic there? You see the facts there? Keith Williams, Jumbo Fisher got fired for not winning, right? That's true. But Jumbo Fisher been with, let's be fair about this good brother Keith Williams. Jumbo Fisher was at Texas A&M a considerably long time in compared to Coach Prime. So they gave Jumbo Fisher an opportunity to win with all that money that they got down there, and he couldn't do anything. And he was in the SEC, right? So keep that in mind. They gave him a number of years to build the program up. And check this out too, Keith Williams. It wasn't that Jimbo Fisher couldn't recruit. He was able to get some damn good players there. It's just he couldn't do anything with the players when he got them, which shows that he's probably not a good coach either. You give Coach Prime what he had, baby, he gonna win. This is just my opinion. I think he could win if he had that type of talent. Let me see right here. What's going on, my sister? Thank you for the super chat that you gave me the other night ago, too. I appreciate that so much, my sister. Ellen, I really appreciate that the other night. I'm about to get ready to end this broadcast. I really appreciate everybody that came over and joined in. We got Mike in the house who says Michigan State tempo coach from Notre Dame did better. Yeah, but would you admit that these coaches that do better is because they got better. They got better players, and they've been given time to implement their system. Would that be incorrect what I'm saying, or would that be correct? I know he has a father who said he feels like a son believes Coach Prime can develop him to the next level. Coach Prime refers to Travis Hunter. Right. North Dakota. Okay. North Dakota. Okay. You still got to have the big dogs to win. I don't care who the coach is. You got to have big dogs to win. Keith Williams says, no, Sean Lewis offense was brought in to do what it did showcase Shador. The line just wasn't strong enough to go an entire. Thank you. Logic. Logical statements. I appreciate those logical statements. Let's get ready to go right here. My sister says, have a blessed Sunday. Enjoy your day. Thank you, my sister. You have a great Sunday as well. Thank you for coming over. The man above, Brenda Hollingsworth, these are folks that did not like him from the beginning. Prime does not need to ask their permission. Good points. Empress Goddess, thank you for coming over. Thank you for being a part of the program. Everybody, I'm about to end the program now. I want you to have a great rest of your Sunday, a great week. I'll be back with what you can expect from this channel is I'll be back with some more uploaded videos on any breaking news that occurs throughout this off season, any new recruits that come in, any new transfers that come in, people that leave and go. I'll be back. I'll be dropping these short uploaded videos for you to watch and enjoy. Anytime we find out any updates on anything, I really appreciate you. And I will do more of this where I will read the statements in the chat room, have conversation with you to find out where you are with this team. I appreciate you all for being here. We got Mr. 7 in the house who says, don't say you don't hear it from me when he gets drafted to the XFL. Deion. Okay, here we go with that. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean when I say this is unnecessary statements. You know damn well that nobody is talking about Shedeur playing in the XFL. Now you are silly. Let me read. Okay, don't say you don't hear it from me when it gets to draft to the XFL. Deion and The Rock already talked. I know more than you. No, you're goofy. You're goofy. Let's take that off of there. That's goofy. That's goofiness. That's goofiness. You're goofy. You need to listen to my radio podcast. Shedeur Sanders has already met with the Patriots scouting department. There's already NFL teams that are looking at Shedeur Sanders and where he may project into the next year's draft. Okay? So they're already looking at him as a high prospect in the NFL. So stop it with the goofy stuff right there. Mr. 7, that's goofy. Big Dog G, he sounds like a hater. He might be talking about those white quarterbacks. All right, everybody. Let me get on out of here. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. We're going to do this again very soon. Look for uploaded videos to come your way, and I'll be going live like this. I'm going to be going live like this where I'm going to open it up to hear what you all have to say in the chat room. Even the haters, even the trolls, even the people that's making the common sense football statements. We're going to open it up so we can all have a conversation. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. Peace.